In the previous video, we looked at how the human stress response works. From a thousandth of a second to the brainstem initiating the thalamus, which initiates the amygdala, which initiates the pituitary gland, which initiates the stress response, which initiates the hormonal response. These sorts of very pivotal instinctive responses have developed over the past 300 million years to get us to where we are today. And today I'm going to build on from those, exploring the main elements of the human stress response. Something many people are aware of today because it's made it into pop culture in terms of the fight and flight response. Now, the fight and flight response are very interesting responses because they happen instinctively and they happen below conscious awareness. So things like a beating heart, tension in the muscles, tension in various muscle groups from the hand to the arms, to the shoulders, to the neck, to the jaw, to the legs, to the feet. I mean, we experience these muscular tensions and preparedness in terms of the human stress response with the fight and flight over and over and over again. And so this is really interesting because to really understand the difference between stress, anxiety, and trauma, we need to explore further into the fight and flight response. So what is the fight and flight response? Well, to give you a better understanding of the fight and flight response, I'm going to take you through a quick exercise. So I ask you to bear with me and close your eyes. If you don't feel like closing your eyes, that's totally fine. Just make sure that you're not looking at anything in particular. You have kind of an unfocused, glare at something. But if you can, close your eyes and we'll go from there. Now, as you close your eyes, I want you to really stop and notice what's happening in your body. And as you notice what's happening in your body, you may notice your heartbeat. You may notice that your breathing is either strained, or it's probably quick, or it's very nice and deep and from your abdominal muscles. You might notice other things in the body that I haven't mentioned. Just pay attention to those and we'll go from there. Now, as you pay attention to your body, I'd like you to notice the words that are going to come out of my mouth soon. And then notice how your body reacts to these words. No. 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 Yes. 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 Okay, now open your eyes. Some of you may have noticed that your body tensed up significantly when you heard the words no. Others may have noticed nothing at all between the yes and the no. Others of you may have noticed your body loosen up when you heard the word yes. Some may not have seen a difference between either, or some of you may have experienced a tension that started with the no, and then even though the body loosened up a little bit with the yes, you were kind of waiting for the no to come up again or something else to happen. And so you were kind of on edge or on, a bit tense, waiting for the next best thing or the next thing to happen. So that is an instinctive response based on a particular inflection of my tone and the words that you heard. From a very young age, we hear words like no, yes. We hear them said in a particular way. And as you might have heard me, my voice changed with the yes and the no. We see this with pets all the time. You may say whatever words you want to a pet, but they won't pick up on the words, obviously. They will pick up on how you say the words. So you may say you're the best dog in the world, but say it in a way like, you are the best dog in the world. And these sorts of things can really scare the dog. And just like you can say something like, I really, really hate you so very much. to a dog, and it may wag its tail, it may salivate, lick you up and down. The really interesting thing here is that words matter less than how those words are said. And especially in that yes-no exercise, you would notice that your body reacts in a particular way. Now, how does this relate to the fight and the flight response? Well, quite simply, you didn't have to think your way into responding or reacting in a way that your body did. Your body just did it. Your body noticed what it would have done in any situation where you might feel under attack or where you might feel like somebody's got your back. Let's break it down a little bit further. I like to consider the fight and flight response this way. Fight happens from the waist up, whereas the flight response happens from the waist down. So we often feel this really tense sense from the waist up when we're getting ready to fight. If we think about somebody yelling at us, we may notice that our shoulders tense up. We may notice that our throat becomes constricted, or we begin to clench our teeth. We may notice that our eyes become more focused, or our hands clench. We may notice our gut begins to drop, or our chest begins to beat. Breathing becomes quicker. That's all very, very similar across the board when it comes to any stress response, but particularly so with the fight response. On the other hand, you've got the flight response, which we often feel in our restless legs. We might feel our feet begin to shake. I see it all the time in my consulting room where a person is looking at me, talking to me, and their feet are planted on the ground, but one's going like Thumper in Bambi. It's really distracting for them and for other people, but they would often say it annoys other people more than it annoys me, because it's actually something that I do to calm myself down. Now, there's a utility to that, and we'll get to strategies over the next couple of classes. But to really understand how your body reacts to stress is the first step. And so as you consider your own stress response, from the thumping heart to the dropping gut to the legs that are going, start to put yourself in situations where you might have a deadline at work, or you may have an argument with a spouse. You may have your kids that are looking at you or saying something in a particular way, and your body's just going. You feel like you have so much tension building up, and you're grinding your teeth and you're trying to keep it all in, but your body feels like it just needs to explode. That's the fight response. And the flight response, you might have all these stresses, all these triggers, and yet you feel like you need to run away. This is really important, because depending on how your body reacts to stress will determine what you need to do about it. Your body is giving you hints and clues on what it needs to do, what needs to happen. And these are conditioned over a very long time. I mean, from an evolutionary point of view, they've been conditioned over the past 300 million years. But at the same time, from a more microevolutionary process, over the last generations, from your own parents and their traumas, and how stressed they were when they were pregnant with you, and how those stress hormones traveled through the placenta and geared your body up to perceive stress in the way that it did, to your birth and experiences right up until the present. Those all determine how your body reacts and responds to stress. So ask yourself these questions. Where do I feel stress in the body? Because that's where it manifests first. Thoughts come and they go, and thoughts are often accompanied by our felt sense of danger, of stress, of a particular threat happening. But they're often accompaniments to a particular response. So take it from there. All right? So ask yourself, where do I feel it, and where is it coming from? And then on the other side, what am I telling myself? Am I telling myself everything's gonna fall down? I'm not gonna be able to escape, or nothing's ever gonna get better? Notice these thoughts that accompany these particular sensations, and that way we can start to get better and better at picking up on when our body is feeling stressed. because sometimes our thoughts are out of proportion with our actions, and our actions in terms of our bodily actions, the sensations that come up. So notice and then ask yourself these questions. In the next class, we'll explore the freeze and the fall response. And then finally, we'll bring up the fawn response before we jump on into the strategies that you've all been waiting for, how to address these particular stressful responses. So keep tuned, and I look forward to meeting you in the next class.